Okay, some upgrades are significant and some upgrades are really small, and what I'm holding in my hand right now is a really small upgrade. In any case, today's upgrade is I'm replacing these two nuts. These are M10 by 1.5 titanium nuts, and I'm doing this just because. Well, there's a couple of reasons to use titanium hardware on your car. It's I guess one reason is it's much more corrosion resistant than steel, even if it's coated or has a finish. Those steel nuts eventually will rust, and the use of aluminum hardware is kind of limited to certain places. This is an aluminum bolt, so that's why I'm going with titanium. Like I said, really light and corrosion resistant. Okay, to do this upgrade you only need a few things, namely well, whatever, a knee pad, 2 wrenches. In my case it's a 16 millimeter and 15, because these titanium nuts are not 16 as factory, but they're a little bit smaller. 15 millimeter hex. The factory nuts are 16 millimeter hex. And you need a flashlight, you need a jack, maybe a couple of stands so the car doesn't fall on your head. And I really forgot to mention that these nuts go to the sway bar end links. You have 2 sets of these nuts, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. I'm only going to show how to get to the ones on the bottom, and the top is basically you have to remove the wheel and get to the strut. This is the nut we are replacing. It's the one that sits on the end of the sway bar. So the factory nut is a 16. You really need to use a ratchet, and I have a really nice ratchet. It's a gift from my brother. 3/8 square, made in Germany. So this nut comes off. So here's the difference between steel and titanium. So these are lock-in nuts and these are not, so I'm going to use a little bit of a blue Loctite. There's a bit of a Loctite blue. At least it's going to help somewhat. So we put this nut on. 15. I'm going to put this wrench on. Make it tight. That should do the job. Double check. Oh yeah, that's tight. Well, that's pretty much it for this upgrade. Looking pretty awesome. I still have to get my sensor arm. I didn't even buy it yet. And pretty much the same process is applicable to the other side. So these nuts are somewhat beneficial, I guess. They're much lighter. Of course you're not saving a whole lot by replacing a couple of nuts, but they're also, they look better, they will last forever, and yeah, they will last forever. Well, that's pretty much it for this upgrade. I hope you enjoyed this short video, and have fun upgrading your cars. Here's a few more bolts and nuts. Approximately the same situation with the strut tower braces. These are, I have M3 strut tower braces, so they are a couple of bolts, a couple of nuts. The bolt goes here, so I already replaced this one. Titanium M8 by 125 bolt, and the next to it is a stud with a nut. That is also an M8 by 125, and I think it's a 13 millimeter nut. I'm going to remove this one just to demonstrate what it looks like with the upgraded hardware. So remove that. get the titanium nut on. This one is the same size as the factory, 13mm hex. They don't have to be too tight, but a couple of ooga-doogas, I guess. And that is it. An easy job. Well, I'm not sure if I should actually replace this stud and nut with just a bolt, because that may actually look cooler. So in a nutshell, this strut tower brace is basically a bar, has two nuts on this side, and there's a nut and a bolt on the other end, and it's the same situation on the left side. In this case, replacing those nuts and bolts is a purely cosmetical reason, I guess. Well, I could not resist the temptation of replacing the rest of the steel hardware, which is comes in the shape of steel studs that are used on these strut braces, and I'm basically extracting all the steel studs and I'm replacing everything with these titanium bolts. So to extract these studs, you kind of have to jam two nuts together in this manner and then just start twisting this out. These bolts are 15mm long, M8 by 125 by 15mm. I'm going to torque these bolts. That's one way to use a ratchet. Go in circles. And this is going to conclude my titanium hardware upgrade. Well, I'm not done yet, but this will be the end of this video. Beautiful titanium bolts, no more steel ugly hardware. That's what happens to these nuts when you remove them a few times and reinstall. They all get chewed up, the coating gets chewed up, things start to look ugly, and they will also rust slightly eventually. Also, I'm going to get rid of these Turner Motorsport covers that these cars have in a shape of two. One is covering the DME unit here, and the other one is the brake booster and the brakes, the ABS and such. So I'm getting rid of these. They are pretty much new. If anyone is interested, just let me know, I guess. So these have got to go. Here's the finished look of this upgrade. I think it looks pretty nice, and I have that done to both sides. Well, I guess now this really is the conclusion of this video. See you all next time.